Every now and then, following this club feels como climbing a steep hill in the pouring rain, and essa fase recente no campeonato tem mostrado isso da forma mais clara possível. The team has hit a stretch where every match feels heavier than the last, and the pressure is starting to settle on a few spots in the squad that simply are not as balanced as they should be. Com is so, the conversations behind the scenes have shifted, and ideas that were parked months ago are suddenly back on the table. It is not that the club panicked or changed their entire recruitment plan overnight, but the reality of the league run has pushed everyone to re-examine doors that were left half open in the summer. One of those doors belongs to a young defender who almost ended up in Glasgow earlier in the year. He was right there, just a signature away from walking into Ibrox. And then the whole thing slipped at the final minute. He went elsewhere, settled into life in Spain, and started putting in performances that made plenty of people wonder if letting him get away was the right call. Every time he stepped onto the pitch over there, calm on the ball, sharp in the duels, showing that blend of patience and athleticism he became known for, the noise around his name grew louder again. Rangers fans kept one eye on him, the coaching staff certainly kept another, and the whole situation created that familiar question. Will the club return for him? That is where things become more complex, because admiration alone does not decide a transfer. While the defender's rise in Spain reignited chatter, the people running the footballing side at Ibrox have made it clear that a January move is not the direction they are leaning towards. The decision has little to do with ability and everything to do with planning. Bringing in Derek Cornelius in the summer, a player who fits naturally on the left side of the defense, has significantly reduced the urgency to chase another option for that role. Cornelius arrived with an option to buy built into his deal, which shows how confident the club were about building that part of the back line around him. When you step back and look at it in context, it makes sense. The defender in Spain may be capable of sliding out to full back when required, but his natural game leans far more towards the heart of the defense. That area is not where the club feels stretched. If anything, they believe they are better covered there than they have been in some time. The issue lies elsewhere, particularly on the left side of the defense, where inconsistency has forced the coaching staff into makeshift solutions that are starting to wear thin. Danny Roll made it clear the moment he walked through the door that there were parts of the squad that needed to be rebuilt if the team wanted to meet the standards he demands, and left back has never left that list. As the club edges closer to the January window, the priorities have been laid out. Reinforcement at left back, another option through the middle of the pitch, and an extra spark up front to ease the pressure on the attack. These are not areas to be addressed casually, but positions that could determine how the season unfolds. Roll has injected fresh life into the squad since replacing Russell Martin, and his early results have convinced many that with the right additions, the team could raise its level again. But ambition alone does not erase the financial realities pressing against the club. The summer was expensive, more expensive than many expected, with spending climbing into the mid-20s of millions of pounds when everything was tallied. That level of investment places a natural limit on how aggressive the club can be in the next window. When resources tighten, recruitment becomes a game of prioritizing what absolutely must be handled now and what can wait until the next cycle. And because of that, the idea of going back for the defender in January has shifted from promising to unlikely. It is not that the club have closed the door completely. It is simply that they have reached the conclusion that other areas demand attention first. Still, the future is not fixed in stone. Once the season comes to an end, everything could look very different. The player's parent club will make a decision about whether he returns, stays out on loan, or moves permanently. Rangers, by then, will have a far clearer picture of where they stand financially and structurally. If the stars align the right way, the path that closed in August might very well reopen in June. But for now, the message is steady. January is not the moment. While all of that unfolds quietly in the background, there is another story at the club that has gathered far more noise and emotion. This one surrounds a midfielder whose name has been at the center of speculation for months. A player whose situation moved from uncertain to steady in the space of a few weeks. Despite all the whispers, all the supposed interest from England and from Europe, the club's current stance is simple enough. He is not leaving in the middle of the season unless someone shows up with a figure that would make anyone in Scotland pause. The tension around him began early in the campaign when he clashed with the previous manager, a disagreement that seemed small at first but snowballed into uncertainty about his future. Suddenly, clubs from the English top flight and beyond started circling, sensing an opportunity. His absence from key matches stirred even more rumors, and at one point, it felt almost certain he would push for a departure once the winter window opened. That was the mood until Roll arrived and changed the air around the training ground. Under the new coach, the midfielder fought his way back into the starting group, reminding everyone why he was viewed as one of the most gifted players in the squad. Strong performances replaced quiet speculation, and with each match, the narrative shifted further away from exit rumors and closer to stability. Now, with him back in rhythm, the club has no appetite to entertain bids. The price tag attached to him is high, intentionally high, a figure that sends a message rather than invites negotiation. What makes the whole situation even more intriguing is how the market has reacted to this shift. Clubs that were convinced they could prize him away for a reasonable sum in January have suddenly gone quiet. They know that negotiating with a team who have no intention of weakening themselves mid-season is a different challenge entirely. And with the midfielder sitting on about a year and a half left in his contract, the club are playing this carefully, balancing the need to protect one of their most valuable assets with the reality that a long-term decision will eventually need to be made. That is why the summer window could become the real battleground, when teams with bigger budgets might return and when Rangers themselves may need to choose between a renewal or a substantial sale that helps fund the next phase of the rebuild. Until then, though, the message from Ibrox is unwavering. They do not want to lose him, not now, when momentum is finally forming again and the squad is responding to the demands of the new manager. He appears more settled, more focused, and far more committed to the second half of the campaign than he was earlier in the season. The change in atmosphere has played a massive part in that, as has the coaching staff's belief in what he brings. When a player feels trusted, the noise around them tends to fade, and that is exactly what has been happening here. Even so, the situation remains one to watch. The Scottish game knows well how quickly things can turn, and a few voices have already warned that mismanaging a talent like that would be a costly mistake. His relationship with the previous manager created tension that pushed him towards the exit door once before, and the club cannot afford to repeat that kind of instability now that the ship has been steadied. Every decision between now and the summer will influence whether he continues building his future in Glasgow or whether another club eventually wins that long race for his signature. For the moment, though, the club hold the advantage. All of this drama unfolding in the background highlights one thing above all else. This January window is not shaping up to be a month of surprises or impulse signings. Instead, it looks like a period where every move will be calculated, measured and tied directly to where the squad is most vulnerable. Rangers have already spent heavily in the previous window, and those investments still need time to settle and prove their value. There is no sense in overreaching financially or rushing into deals that shift attention away from the positions that require immediate reinforcement. The club cannot afford to fall into the trap of reacting emotionally to short-term pressure. The manager has made his priorities crystal clear, and that clarity is something the fan base has been craving for a long time. When a new head coach arrives, especially one with a modern approach and a strong tactical identity, supporters want to see the squad evolve in a way that reflects that vision. Role has wasted no time identifying exactly what is missing: more pace and strength down the left side, fresh energy and presence in the midfield, and a forward who can bring something different to the attack when matches become tight. These are not luxuries. They are essential upgrades for a team trying to compete across multiple fronts. But executing that plan requires patience, especially when funds are tight. That is why the club must strike a balance between ambition and responsibility. The temptation to chase every promising rumor or revisit every exciting target is strong. But long-term stability depends on measured decisions, not on reacting to every passing opportunity. Fans want improvements now, and understandably so, given the pressure of the league race. But the club are thinking beyond the next few weeks. They are thinking about the next few seasons, about building a squad strong enough that scrambling for late solutions becomes a thing of the past. Still, even with the financial constraints, this window will not be quiet. Something will happen because something has to happen. The depth issues that have surfaced repeatedly in recent matches cannot be ignored, and the manager has made it clear he expects reinforcements. The task for the people behind the scenes is to find those players who not only fill gaps but elevate the quality of the team without pushing the club into unnecessary financial risk. It is a delicate line to walk, but it is one that other Rangers squads have walked before, and that reality brings a sense of cautious confidence. While uncertainty lingers over potential arrivals, the dynamic inside the team appears healthier than it has been in a long time. Performances have improved, intensity has returned, and there is a visible sense of unity that was missing earlier in the campaign. The tension that existed under the previous manager has eased, replaced with a more direct, more demanding, and far more coherent approach. Players are responding, results are reflecting that response, and supporters can finally feel momentum beginning to build again. It is not perfect, far from it, but the foundation now looks stronger than it did just a few months ago. That is why losing a key midfielder now would be such a blow. Not only would it remove a player important to the system, but it would disrupt the rhythm that the squad is finally starting to find. Keeping him through the end of the season sends the right message to both the dressing room and to any clubs testing the waters from afar. Rangers will not be pushed around in the market, and they will not sacrifice their campaign just to make a deal that benefits someone else. If a team wants him, they will need to pay an amount that genuinely changes the conversation. With all this unfolding, the next few weeks promise to be busy. Behind-the-scenes meetings, discussions, scouting reports, and financial calculations will dominate the agenda as the club prepares to step into a window that could shape the remainder of the season. Every decision will be magnified, every rumor will be scrutinized, and every eventual signing will carry the weight of expectation. But the people inside Ibrox know that pressure well. They understand what this club demands, and they know how important it is to get this right. As the season moves deeper into the winter months, the fixtures will pile up and the squad will be tested even more. That is when the decisions made in January will truly show their value. Rangers have a chance to strengthen at a crucial moment, but only if they remain disciplined, strategic, and focused on the areas that genuinely need reinforcement. The supporters want excitement, the team needs balance, and the club must find a way to deliver both without jeopardizing the long-term progress that has quietly begun beneath the surface. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Scott McTOMINAY to Rangers, that's the name, doing the rounds in every corner of Govan, every supporter's bus, and just about every pub with a telly. It started as a whisper, the sort of daft rumor you hear when someone's had a couple of pints too many. But over the last few days, the chatter's grown louder, steadier, and far harder to shrug off. Word is the Scotland midfielder has chosen Rangers as his next destination, and folk are buzzing at the thought of him steaming into the middle of the park in royal blue. Nobody's putting their name to anything yet, of course, and the usual sources close to the player lines are all sounding suspiciously vague. Still, the suggestions refuse to fade. Supporters are already picturing McTOMINAY snapping into tackles, driving forward with that big stride of his, and giving the side a bit of muscle that's been badly needed at times. The idea of him anchoring the midfield has sent imaginations racing, especially with whispers that he's keen on a fresh challenge and sees Rangers as the perfect place to kick on. There's talk that conversations have taken place, that the club's project appeals to him, that he fancies leading from the front rather than fighting for bits and pieces elsewhere. Some fans reckon it's all smoke without fire. Others are convinced this is one of those deals that starts quietly, builds a life of its own, and suddenly becomes real before anyone knows what's happened. For now, it's pure buzz, the kind that sweeps through a support starved for a big statement. Whether it's true or just another rumor blown out of proportion, one thing's for certain. The thought of Scott McTOMINAY rocking up at Ibrox has sent a shiver of excitement through the Rangers faithful, and until someone comes out to deny it, the noise isn't going away anytime soon. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned